The Canadian Shield. Composed of the oldest in North America, almost 570 million years old, Precambrian rock, the Canadian Shield is Canada's most expanded region. The basic landscapes include lakes and rivers, large regions of forests, and of course the igneous rock. The Canadian Shield is surrounding the Hudson's Bay, particularly in a horseshoe-described shape. Occupying all of Labrador and most of Quebec and Ontario, it has an area of 3,500,000 kilometers squared, approximately 35% of Canada. The appearance of Canadian Shield landscape is bumpy and rocky. It acquires thousands of lakes, prior to that possessing some of Canada's longest rivers. These water streams drain into the Hudson's Bay and James Bay. The remainder filters into the St. Lawrence River. The Canadian Shield once obtained the highest mountains in eastern Canada. These landscapes were up to 530 meters high. These landscapes were formed billions of years ago, then forces deep inside the earth crushed, melted, and stirred certain rocks beneath the surface, decreasing the size into somewhat plateaus. In certain cases, volcanoes were formed, and melted rock originated to the surface. The molten lava cooled and hardened to form high mountains. This process occurs very often, creating very worn-out mountains. Of what we know, lakes were then formed when the last ice age developed, causing glaciers to scrape down, exposing large areas of rocks and piles of stone and dirt. These glaciers were rarely not moving, causing the hollows to be filled with water, therefore forming lakes and rivers. The landscape of the region has impacted the ecosystem drastically. The lakes and rivers made it easier for explorers and fur traders originating from Europe. Their knowledge of routes and how to transport from land to land expanded. With these being said, the terrain was very rocky, and since the landscape was marshy and bumpy, there was no successful cropping regions. The agriculture did not develop. An advantage to these mountainous landscapes include that the rock contained valuable minerals. Mining is a very essential activity that happens in the Canadian Shield region. The waterways are also a source of food. Ever since lakes and rivers were developed, the first people started to participate in fishing and settling in this community. The Canadian Shield has an enormous supply of water, which is used to produce hydroelectricity. Electricity is powered of flowing water. This is known as hydroelectricity. The Canadian Shield possesses three main climates: Arctic, which is frigid and dry; Boreal, which is composed of long and cold winters and short and warm summers; finally, the Laurentian, which is cold, snowy winter and warm to hot summer. The climate is affected by the air masses that move over the region. Cold and dry Arctic air affects the whole region during the winter. The growing region in the Laurentian causes long enough summers to make farming possible in this area. The Canadian Shield has three main vegetation areas: tundra, boreal forest, and mixed forest. The tundra is marshy and covered with thick masses of moss. The tundra is mostly barren land, however, there are little plants and shrubs. The boreal, which is one of the largest forests in the area, in the world, and it's made up of different species of trees, animals such as beaver, caribou, black bears, and live on land. In the water, you can find animals like trout, bass, and perch, and in the air, you'll see thrushes, owls, and warblers. Wood, metals, and paper products, and even the electricity that powers up supplies are a few of the several natural resources from the region of the Canadian Shield. Both renewable and non-renewable resources such as water, forests, and minerals are found in the Canadian Shield. Although this region possesses resources, rarely anyone lives here. The only occupied areas are where there are resources. These resources provide jobs, settling near mines, paper mills, and other industries push towards more employment. In conclusion, our knowledge has expanded about the Canadian Shield. We've learned about the landscape, the formation, the activities, and the lifestyle. Hope you enjoyed!